So, if you've been paying attention to the news at all recently, then you'll know that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has heated up in recent weeks. I'm not going to get too far into the causes of that or my opinions about it, but what I will do is I will show you how the conflict is being described in different languages. And I'll be using the introductory section on the Wikipedia article about it, because I think that, for most people who want to get the basic gist of it, but don't want to get too far into it, that's what they're going to be looking at. So I think it's interesting to see what they will find in different languages if they do that. So, I'll start off in English. 2021 Israeli-Palestinian crisis. On 6th of May 2021, Palestinians began protesting in Jerusalem over a forthcoming decision of the Israeli Supreme Court regarding the eviction of 4 Palestinian families from Sheikh Jarrah, a neighborhood of East Jerusalem. The area is informally annexed to Israel, but under international law remains part of the Palestinian territories, which Israel administers under belligerent occupation. The protests quickly escalated into violent confrontations between Jewish and Palestinian protesters. The following day, the major Islamic holy site and the holiest site of Judaism, known as Al-Aqsa Mosque Compound, or Temple Mount, was stormed by the Israeli police with explosives, fire exchange, rubber bullets, and stones throwing. The violence coincided with Qadr Night, observed by Muslims, and Jerusalem Day, an Israeli national holiday. The confrontations occurred ahead of a planned Jerusalem Day march by far-right Jewish nationalists that was later cancelled. More than 300 people were injured, mostly Palestinians, drawing international condemnation. The Supreme Court ruling was then delayed for 30 days as the Attorney General of Israel, Avichai Mandelblit, sought to reduce tensions. On 10th of May, 2 Palestinian militant groups, Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, began firing rockets into Israel from the Gaza Strip, hitting multiple residences and a school. Israel launched airstrikes against Gaza, including airstrikes targeting multiple apartment buildings and a news office building. Since the rocket launches and airstrikes began, at least 122 Palestinians have been killed, including 31 children, while 7 Israelis have been killed, including 1 child. On 11th of May, the Israeli Defense Forces claimed that at least 15 of the Palestinian casualties were confirmed by members of Hamas, and also claimed that some Palestinian civilian casualties were caused by errant rocket launches within the Gaza Strip. As of 12th May 2021, both Israeli and Palestinian National Authority reported injuries for at least 300 Palestinians and 200 Israelis. The conflict is said to have reached a level unseen since the Second Intifada in the early 2000s. So that was the article in English. Now, let us examine that same article in Arabic. And so I'll be using Google Translate just to translate the article. Obviously, Google Translate isn't perfect, and probably some things will be lost in translation, but you should still be able to get the gist and how it's different. Israeli-Palestinian Clashes 2021. The Israeli-Palestinian Clashes 2021, or the 2021 Jerusalem confrontations, are tensions that began between Palestinian demonstrators and the Israeli police on May 6, 2021, as a result of the Israeli Supreme Court's decision regarding the eviction of Palestinian families from their homes in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood to the eastern side of the Old City of Jerusalem in favor of housing Israeli settlers. Events erupted late on Friday farewell in May 7, 2021, corresponding to 25 Ramadan 1442, after thousands of soldiers stormed the Israeli police courtyards of Al-Aqsa Mosque and attacked the worshippers and wounding more than 205 Palestinians in the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Bab al-Amud and Sheikh Jarrah. Violent confrontations also took place on the morning of Monday, May 10th, 2021, corresponding to Ramadan 28, 1422 AH, after thousands of Israeli police personnel stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque and resulted in the injury of more than 331 Palestinians, including 7 very serious cases, paramedics, and journalists in the mosque and the surrounding area of the Old Town. The confrontations coincided with the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan 1442 AH, and the Night of Power for the Palestinians on the one hand, and the day of the merging of the two parts of Jerusalem for the Israeli settlers. Again, obviously, not a perfect translation, and I'm sure that some things maybe got lost, but hopefully you get the gist of that. And now we will look at the same article, just in Hebrew. And again, I'll be using Google Translate here. Surprisingly, this is actually a shorter article, even though this event is going on in Israel. But the riots in Israel during Ramadan 2021. The riots in Israel during Ramadan 2021 are violent incidents of Israeli and Palestinian Arabs, which began during Ramadan 2021 in several centers in Israel, and were later joined by a lower amount of incidents of violence by Jews. As a continuation of the riots, Hamas sent rockets from the Gaza Strip to Israel, which led to the departure of the State of Israel for Operation Wall Guard. Following the firing of rockets and the Wall Guard operation, riots were intensified across the country. As part of dealing with the incidents, Israeli police forces were reinforced with border police forces. The General Security Service issued an unusual statement in light of the escalation of violent incidents, stating that it was terrorism. So, there you go. The same event, the same Wikipedia article, just in 3 different languages. I'm not going to hammer the point into your head about this. I'm sure that you can, watch the video and count the differences for yourselves. I just thought it would be interesting to see how this news is spun, literally what people are reading into it, depending on what language you speak, what part of the world you're from reading this. Hopefully you learned something from this video, and I will see you next time. Peace out.